On our next mission trip, Conshy United's Living Waters Ministry team will travel to Uganda to install a water filtration system at the Karama Education Center located in southwestern Uganda, just a few kilometers from both the Republic of Congo and Rwanda. In July 2018, Nora Burkey, founder and executive director of the Chain Collaborative, spoke at the CPW Rotary Club and shared the story of their partnership with the Now Africa Initiative, an inspiring group of small-scale farmers registered as a social enterprise whose mission is to contribute to the social economic transformation of rural Uganda through agricultural development and educational improvements.
The mission of the Chain Collaborative is to invest in the capacity of change leaders in coffee growing regions and accompany them as they drive grassroots sustainable development in their own communities. We define change leaders as local leaders who run community-based organizations and have a vision to create change for their broader community. Now Africa Initiative is one of the change leaders we invest in. It is important to us not only to invest in change and livelihood development in farming communities, but to invest in local leaders to drive that change. That way, children can see themselves represented in leadership and in positions of important and equitable influence. In 2016, Now Africa Initiative, with support from the Chain Collaborative, founded the Karama Education Center, a locally led primary school in the Congo district of southwestern Uganda. The school serves roughly 350 students annually and was built on land that was donated by the Church of Uganda. Much of the labor to build the school was provided by members of the community, and they used basic hand tools. The construction of Karama Education Center was completed in late 2016, and the school opened its doors in 2017. In total, there are 7 classrooms for the 7 grades, a library, a nursery school section, which means in Uganda a kindergarten, and sanitation facilities. The school is also leveraged as a learning center for adult farmers. The most inspiring thing about this school to us at the Chain Collaborative is that it was entirely envisioned by Now Africa Initiative. We simply provided the resources they needed to make their dream a reality, and they continue to create new programming for their students year after year, relying on local expertise and guidance about education. They now have a school garden program, a sports initiative, and much, much more.
In November of 2018, Dennis Plunonesiko drew the map of the site depicted in the left-hand corner of this slide. At that time, the only water tap available was located at the church, T on the map, a significant distance from the school. Today, things have changed. They now have a rainwater harvesting system with a large collection tank. As of April 2019, an additional tap has been installed closer to the school. Hand washing stations have been added outside the latrines, and a girls' changing room has been erected. In the picture, you can see children collecting water from the new tap. Unfortunately, both the tap water and rainwater sources are contaminated.
In Uganda, 80 out of every 1,000 children will die before they reach their 5th birthday due to illnesses caused by drinking contaminated water and inadequate sanitation practices. Children often drink from rivers and swamps on their way to school, causing illness and missing valuable time in school, suffering the physical effects of chronic intestinal diseases, which reduce the body's ability to absorb nutrients from food. By installing a Living Waters for the World water filtration system, we will be able to purify the water and provide the community of 600 with safe drinking water for a generation. However, the system requires electricity to operate. Unfortunately, the Karama Education Center is in a rural community with no public utilities. We will fill this gap by installing solar power. This new electricity source will have the dual impact of powering the water filtration system and provide electricity to the Karama Education Center for the first time, ensuring greater health and access to more educational opportunities.
In January 2020, we traveled to Uganda to prepare for our Living Waters for the World water filtration system installation which will take place later this year at the Karama Education Center. The center is located about 8.5 hours from Kampala over mostly dirt roads and involved crossing the equator. Throughout our journey, we saw people carrying water or walking to the tap for water. We spent several days with the great people of the KEC community. When we arrived on Friday, January 17th, we were greeted with an amazing reception, including traditional welcome dances performed by the priest, Reverend Christopher, and church and community leaders, an incredible feast, a tour of the organic garden, followed by the Children's Drama Club performance and presentation of gifts of locally grown teas, handcrafted baskets, and straw hats. We felt extremely welcome. The meal, like every meal in Uganda, begins with hand washing. In the village of Yamagoy, there is no indoor plumbing, so hand washing involves two people carrying a pitcher of water from the tap and bowls for soap and runoff to each person before the meal begins.
This community of subsistence farmers raises food crops of bananas, potatoes, watermelon, eggplant, and pineapples, and their cash crop is coffee. The Now Africa initiative, which started the school, is working to move these coffee growers from subsistence to commercial farmers. Their mission is to play a catalytic role in contributing to the socio-economic transformation of rural Uganda through sustainable agricultural development and educational improvements. The NAIA encourages all farmers to enroll their children at the school and to involve their wives in the coffee growing business as well. The life expectancy in Uganda is only 62 years. There are very few elderly people in the community, but there are many widows with young children. The school has established an organic garden and produces food to feed the children at lunch each day. An agronomist is on the staff of the school. He teaches English as well as farming practices and nutrition to both the children and local farmers.
On this trip, we formalized the leadership and members of the Water Committee, which will have overall responsibility for the ongoing sustainability of the system and education of the community. The Operators Committee and Health and Hygiene Committees were also formed. This group was so logical and thoughtful in organizing their teams. The school and community are committed to improving the health of the children and believe clean water is key to improving health and ability to learn and flourish. Each of the teachers at the Karama Education Center will be trained as either health and hygiene instructors or operators. In addition, an equal number of community members will be trained and participate on these teams, thus ensuring solid coverage for all ages and learning about running and maintaining the system. Several members of the Mothers Union will be on the health and hygiene team. The water system operators will also be trained on the operation and maintenance of the solar power. We worked out the project preparation plan with the chairs and vice chairs of each committee. This involved us working out the many details essential to preparing the site for the implementation phase, including general project planning, developing a communication plan, and preparing for the health, education, and system installation planning. We finalized locations for the solar and the water building. The newly formed Water Committee, Health and Hygiene Team, and Operator Team outside one of the classroom blocks. Afterwards, we shared some delicious jackfruit for lunch. We were told that jackfruit is such a big fruit that you have to eat it with friends, and now that we are friends.
During the trip, we met with the engineers from Davis and Shirtlift, the company that will install solar power at the center, and Akba, the company that managed the construction of the secure water building, where the water filtration system and the batteries will be stored. We're pleased to say that in March 2020, groundbreaking and construction of the secure water building started. Despite transportation shutdowns and COVID restrictions placed on community member work teams, the construction was finally completed on July 18, 2020. COVID, however, halted the solar installation and our plans to return to install the water system and train the system operators and community educators in 2020. This is a truly remarkable community. We look forward to returning to complete the project with our partners in Uganda later this year. Once the schools reopen, which is predicted to be sometime in the spring of 2021, the solar installation will take place. By year-end 2021, our team will install the water system and train the system operators and community educators. We will also work with the community to develop mechanisms that will allow them to be financially independent over time by leveraging the solar power and water system. In the meantime, we continue to work with the Chain Collaborative to raise the remaining funds needed to complete the project. So far, we have raised $29,863 towards this project. But given additional costs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to raise an additional $5,500 to complete it. We thank you for your attention.